He was just a quiet 16-year-old, smart, anxious, easy to overlook. But one teacher saw him as a target and made his life miserable. Most kids would have stayed silent. He didn't. Instead, he watched, waited, and when the moment came, he exposed a secret that shook the entire school. This isn't just revenge. It's how one student turned silence into power. Hey Reddit, I never thought I'd post something like this, but here we are. I'm 18 now, graduated and doing fine. But when I was 16, I went through something that still feels like a movie. A weird mix of pain, power, and petty, and not so petty revenge. Buckle up. This isn't short, but it's worth the ride. Let me introduce the antagonist of this story. We'll call him Mr. Kane, not his real name, obviously. He was my history teacher during sophomore year, late 40s, always wore suits that looked too expensive for a public school salary, and carried this smug, sarcastic tone like he was better than everyone. He had a reputation, not the kind of reputation that gets someone fired, but the kind everyone whispers about in hallways. He loved targeting students he saw as weak. And guess who became his new favorite target? Yours truly. I wasn't the popular kid, but I wasn't invisible either. Quiet, did my work, had a few close friends, but I had anxiety. Not just, oh, I'm nervous for a test anxiety, real clinical anxiety. I was in therapy, I took meds, I tried to manage it, but high school isn't kind to people like me. Mr. Kane sniffed that out like a shark smelling blood. It started small. I stuttered during a class presentation. He chuckled and said, "Take your time. Some of us have all day." I forgot to bring a printed assignment once. He read my name out loud and said, the digital generation can't even figure out how to hit print. Shocking. Then he began calling on me when I wasn't raising my hand, purposefully, repeatedly, asking questions I clearly didn't know the answer to. If I froze up, he'd say things like, maybe if you spent less time staring at your desk and more time reading the textbook, you'd have something to contribute. Every time he did it, the class would go dead silent. I could feel eyes on me. I'd go home and cry some days. I started faking sick just to avoid his class. My parents noticed, but I didn't want to tell them. I thought maybe I was overreacting. But then he crossed a line, a real line. We had a group project. I was paired with two kids who didn't do anything. I ended up doing 90% of the work. When we presented it, Mr. Kane gave the entire group a D, then pulled me aside after class and said, "I expected more from you. I guess anxiety isn't your only weakness." That night, I broke down in front of my older brother. He's 5 years older, in college, and has always been protective. I told him everything, the public shaming, the mocking, the snide comments. He just sat there, quiet, thinking. Then he said, "All right, time to flip the script." My brother is a tech nerd, like builds his own computer for fun level nerd. He had the idea. What if we caught Mr. Kane doing something he shouldn't? I was skeptical. He's a teacher. What's he gonna do? Sell drugs in the break room? But here's the thing. Mr. Kane was a little too confident. He brought his personal laptop to class a lot. He connected to the school Wi-Fi. He was constantly clicking around, sometimes minimizing windows quickly when students approached his desk. Suspicious, right? My brother set me up with a USB keylogger. Harmless, undetectable, and it would record everything typed on a keyboard once plugged in. One day, I stayed after class, pretending to ask for help. While Mr. Kane stepped out to grab some papers from the copy room, I slid the keylogger into the back USB port of his laptop. It clicked into place cleanly, invisible. The trap was set. We waited a full week. Every day I sat in that classroom, heart pounding, acting normal. Mr. Kane didn't suspect a thing. On Friday afternoon, my brother and I pulled the keylogger. He decrypted the data. Most of it was boring. Emails, grade entries, login credentials. But then we found something weird. He had typed in the URL of a gambling site multiple times. And not just that, he'd logged in using his school email. We found typed conversations on what looked like a Discord-like chat embedded in the platform. Some of the stuff he wrote was sketchy. There were discussions about using school break time to trade, and even mentions of debt. Then came the jackpot. He'd typed up a message to someone named Gino that read, "If the district audits me, I'm fucked." I used the travel funds again for the site. Told them it was for conference materials. Can't lose this round. He was embezzling money from the school, using educational travel funds to gamble. It was huge. My brother was smart about it. He didn't want to just drop a random bombshell and get ignored. He created a detailed report outlining the keylogger capture, matching timestamps to class schedules, comparing logins, and noting the exact URL visits. Then we made a backup. 3 actually, one on a flash drive, one in cloud storage, and one printed out and sealed in an envelope. The only question was, who do we give this to? We couldn't go straight to Mr. Kane or even another teacher. They might warn him. So we went to the assistant principal, Ms. Hartwell. She was known to be sharp and no nonsense. We scheduled a confidential meeting. I told Ms. Hartwell I had something serious and didn't feel safe going to Mr. Kane about it. That got her attention immediately. When she read the report, her expression went from curiosity, disbelief, stone-cold fury. "You're telling me he used school travel grants to gamble?" I nodded. She asked me 3 times if I was sure I hadn't fabricated it. I told her I could show the raw keylogger logs and metadata. My brother had even created a visual map with a timeline. She thanked me, told me to leave it with her, and said to tell no one. Monday morning, we all came into class. Mr. Kane walked in like usual, suit, coffee, smug look on his face. 10 minutes in, there was a knock at the door, Ms. Hartwell, and the principal. "Mr. Kane, we need to speak with you. Bring your laptop." His face froze. I will never forget the way the color drained from it. He looked at me, just for a split second, and I swear, it clicked. He knew. He left with them. Class was silent. The rumors started by lunch. Kane's gone. Something with money. He stole from the school. No one knew the full story, but it didn't matter. He never came back. Turns out, Mr. Kane had been misusing school discretionary funds for over 2 years. Travel reimbursements, supply budgets, even continuing education stipends. All of it rerouted to his private gambling accounts. The school did a quiet investigation, and though they didn't press criminal charges, for PR reasons, he was fired, and the district flagged his name to every nearby school. He disappeared off the educational radar. The week after he was fired, Ms. Hartwell called me in again. I thought I might get in trouble for the keylogger. "Nope," she thanked me. She said, "What you did was dangerous, but brave, and it likely saved this school thousands of dollars." She asked if I'd be willing to give a confidential statement for the school board's internal file. I said yes. Then she handed me a small white envelope, a $500 student service grant. No ceremony, just quiet recognition. But the real reward? My anxiety didn't magically disappear, but it eased. I didn't feel small anymore. I walked through the halls with my head a little higher, and students, especially ones Mr. Kane used to mock, would nod at me. One even said, "Thanks for what you did." My brother still calls it the Kane job, like it's a heist movie. Looking back, I know what we did was risky, maybe even illegal in a technical sense, but I'd been pushed to the edge. Bullied, mocked, humiliated by someone twice my age who was supposed to guide us. So I flipped the script. He underestimated me. He thought I was weak. Turns out, I was just patient.